How tariffs are shifting global supply chains. Rick Waldenberg says he believes in taking action rather than just hoping for the best. A 90-day pause on Donald Trump's sweeping tariffs plan is about to expire on Wednesday, which could upend U.S. trading relationships with the rest of the world. But the uncertainty of the last few months has already forced several companies to rethink their supply lines in radical ways. When an Illinois toy maker heard that Trump was introducing tariffs on Chinese imports, he was so incensed that he decided to sue the U.S. government. "I'm inclined to stand up when my company is in genuine peril," says Rick Waldenberg, who is the CEO of educational toy firm Learning Resources. The majority of his company's products are made in China, so the tariffs, which U.S. importers have to pay, not Chinese exporters, are now costing him a fortune. He says his import taxes bill leapt from around 1.5 a year to more than £100 in April, when Trump temporarily increased tariffs on Chinese imports to 145%. That would have devastated the company, he says. "This kind of impact on my business is just a little bit hard to wrap my mind around," he says. With U.S. tariffs on Chinese imports now at 30%, that's still unaffordable for many American companies, such as Learning Resources. So in addition to its continuing legal fight, it is changing its global supply chain, moving production from China to Vietnam and India. These two countries, like most others around the world, have seen the US hit them with general 10% tariffs, 2/3 lower than those on China. Although these 10% tariffs are due to run out on Wednesday the 9th of July, uncertainty remains over what they may be replaced by. Meanwhile, many Canadian companies, who often trade in both their home country and in the US, are now facing a double hit to their supply chains. These hits are the 25% tariffs put in place by Trump on many Canadian imports and the reciprocal ones of the same level that Canada has placed on a host of American exports. And other businesses around the world are looking at exporting less to the US because their American import partners are having to put up prices to cover the tariffs they now have to pay, which makes their products more expensive on US shelves. At Learning Resources, Mr. Waldenberg has now moved about 16% of manufacturing to Vietnam and India. "We have gone through the process of vetting the new factories, training them on what we needed, making sure that things could flow easily, and developing relationships." Yet he admits that there are uncertainties. "We don't know if they can handle the capacity of our business, much less the whole world moving in there at the same time." He also points out that switching production to another country is expensive to organize. In the meantime, his legal case against the US tariffs, called Learning Resources et al. v. Donald Trump et al., is continuing its way through the US court system. In May, a judge at the US District Court in Washington, D.C. ruled that the tariffs against it were unlawful. But the US government immediately appealed, and Learning Resources still has to pay the tariffs for the time being. So the firm is continuing to move production away from China. Learning Resources has moved some of its production from China to Vietnam, and India global supply chain expert Les Brand says that it is both expensive and difficult for companies to switch manufacturing to different countries. Trying to find new sources for critical components of whatever you are doing, that's a lot of research, says Mr. Brand, who is CEO of advisory firm Supply Chain Logistics. There's a lot of quality testing to do it right. You have to spend the time, and that really takes away from the business focus. He adds, the knowledge transfer to train a whole new bunch of people on how to make your product takes a lot of time and money, and that affects already razor-thin margins businesses have right now. For Canadian fried chicken chain Cluck Clucks, its supply chain has been significantly impacted by Canada's revenge tariffs on US imports. This is because while its chicken is Canadian, it imports both specialist catering fridges and pressure fryers from the US. While it can't live without the fridges, it has decided to stop buying any more of the fryers. Yet, with no Canadian company making alternative ones, it is having to limit its menus at its new stores. This is because it needs these pressure fryers to cook its bone-in chicken pieces. The new stores will instead only be able to sell boneless chicken, as that is cooked differently. This was a substantial decision for us, but we believe it's the right strategic move, says Raza Hashim, Cluck Clucks Diao CEO. It's important to note that we do plan to retain the necessary kitchen space in new locations to reintroduce these fryers should the tariff uncertainty be completely resolved in the future. He